We are live. We should see attendees coming in. Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining the webinar. Let's wait for one more minute and then we can get started. In the meantime, why don't we do some chatting? Tell us if you're in sales or marketing in the chat. Also tell us if you're using Prospector currently. You can type your answers in the chat. Yeah, I just noticed that the chat is deactivated. Can you try now? Yeah, the chat is active now. So you can just type if you're in sales or marketing. Great. So before we get started, I just want to set the tone here. So if you have any questions during the session, you have Q&A. So send in your questions and we will answer them whenever possible or at the end of the presentation. And we are recording this webinar, so you should receive the recording in a few days so you can play back and watch it later or even share it with your team. So yeah, it's time to get started. So good morning to everybody who's logging in from the US and good evening to everybody from the rest of the world. Thank you for joining our webinar on how Prospector can help you find and speak with more customers in 2023. I'm Sanjana and I'm the Product Marketing Manager and I will be your host today. And I have Tom and Natasha who will be our speakers today. And I'm going to let them introduce themselves now.
I'll go first. My name is Tom. Currently, I work in customer success as a team lead for the UK and our rest of markets. And I'm involved in the Prospector project since the beginning of on, since I also have a background in enterprise and SMB sales. And yeah, that's it. How about you, Natasha?
Hey, everybody. I'm Natasha. I work as a product marketing lead at Leadfeeder. Having product marketing or even general marketing experience for the past 10 years, mostly in the IT industry. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Natasha and Tom. And yeah, the agenda for today is very simple. In the next few minutes, we are going to learn what is Prospector, why you should use Prospector, use cases, and a demo of Prospector. And at last, we'll open it up for Q&A. So yeah, let's get started. I'm going to hand it over to Natasha now.
Thank you, Sanjana. So I'm going to walk you through into the basis of Prospector in the following slides. You can think of Prospector as a big database that has over 20 million companies and over 237 million employees. What you can do with this database is you can actually search through companies or employees using different filters, which can vary from geolocation, other firmographic data like the company size, the company industry, some keywords that can be found on their web page or any relevant public sources that we could have found related to these companies. And when it comes to the persona filters, you can actually search through job positions, skills, seniority, and so on. So why should you use Prospector? If you're actually a salesperson, I'm sure that you find this problem familiar, searching for hours or days to feed your pipeline with new companies. You're always searching for new prospects. And once you actually find these company names, then you need to actually find the relevant people to speak with. And once you find them, then you still need to invest even more time into find their contacts and luckily actually find their direct email address or direct phone number. So naturally, your goal would be to accelerate this whole process. And this is what Prospector can actually help you with, to create a list of your ideal customer profile or whatever market you're trying to expand your business into, and to reveal the contact details of these people that you would like to speak with. If you're a part of the marketing team, sometimes some of these scenarios might also be relevant to you, but also myself as a marketeer, I know that I always had a problem to adding more companies or more people to my target list for my campaigns. So this is where Prospector can actually help you in order to improve your campaign performance and increase the conversion, to do better targeting. So you can either generate a list of potential target companies in your audience for your next campaigns. And on the other hand, you can also support your revenue team. So while they're selling to these companies, you can also push a marketing campaign towards them. So before we continue into deep diving, as most of you are already Leadfeeder users, this is how you can actually find Prospector. You can either find it in the dashboard, and this is marked on this slide, or you can find it in the drop-down menu, and it is marked as news for better visibility. So once you actually arrive on the landing page of Prospector, you're going to see the filters on the left side and a blank screen on the right, which means that you need to apply the filters that you would like in order to start generating your list. I'm handing over to Tom now so he can cover the use cases for the sales teams.
Absolutely, thank you. So here's 4 use cases from a sales perspective. The first one is when you are already in your web visitor tool. What you will see is if you click a company and you scroll down, you will see context that Prospector has for this particular company. So you will see the job title, link to their LinkedIn page. And if you like this contact, if you want to reach out via email or phone, we will preview if we have that information. You can reveal the details and start reaching out in any way you like then. The second one is you can upload your target accounts basically. So we have a new functionality called lists, and we will be viewing these in a demo in just a second as well. But you can upload a list of companies that you can then see in web visitors, but also in Prospector. The third use case is if you have your CRM already connected to web visitors, you can also do that for Prospector. And then if you have companies there, you can kind of enrich, you can sync new companies and you can add context to already existing companies. And the last one is, of course, like any salesperson wants, you want to discover new companies in your ICP and you want to enrich that data with contact data. So you want to reach out to the buyer personas that you want, get their LinkedIn, get their email address and phone data, basically. All right, Natasha, back to you.
Thank you. So covering the marketing use cases, I spoke briefly about them, but I'm going to deep dive a little bit more into this. So let's say you're a software company that is a provider for the car makers. So you want to create a new campaign and you want to expand your business in Europe and North America. What you can do with Prospector is you can build your target audience either from scratch, or you can find even new companies that are not on your list that you already have. So in order to do this, let's say you can start with the geographics. You can put the filters of the locations where most of the car makers are located, like Italy, France, Sweden, Spain, Germany. Sorry for those countries that I left out, just not to get into deep diving into the examples. And then, for example, in the USA, you can also geo-target like Detroit, where the most of the car makers are, or San Francisco. And knowing that these companies are mostly large companies, let's say they have 10,000 plus employees, and then in the keywords that they have the abbreviation OEM or original equipment manufacturers, which is a common term. This is how you can actually really create a relevant target account list for your campaign. And what you can do with this list is either you can save it and export it to use it in part of your campaigns to target the companies, or you can go into deeper diving, trying to filter through contacts and create a campaign that targets actually individuals within this list. So you can, for example, if you're relevant to the product teams, you can target personas like the product managers, the program managers, chief product officer, user experience officer, and other relevant people in order to get your list. And then with this list, you can actually execute your campaign. So you can save the list in order to use it in another tool that we are actually going to announce pretty soon and talk about pretty much often in Leadfeeder, which is called Promote. This is a B2B advertising platform. And you can actually use this list to target the companies through this tool. Otherwise, you can also export this list as a CSV file in order to use it in any other advertising platform as you wish. Or if you prefer using LinkedIn as a marketing channel, then you can also export it in the LinkedIn format, so you don't have to then change the columns and rows in order to execute your campaign there. It is not uncommon in many companies that, on the other hand, the marketing people are the ones who are responsible for the CRM and maintaining the cleanliness of the database and the CRM contacts. So even though this was part of the use cases for the sales teams, I also want to highlight that this is probably one of the things that the marketing people can often do to actually create this list and then integrate this contacts into the CRM. What you can also do while your sales teams are actually working through these leads and trying to contact them with the same list, you can also start your campaign, so you can actually reinforce the effort that your team is having in order to get better results and better conversion through your campaign and through your sales efforts. So now I'm going to hand it over to Tom again so we can go through the demo.
All right, thank you. Let me just share my screen. Can you give me okay if you can see it? All right, then let's head over to Prospector. So when you open up Prospector in your account, you're gonna land at the general page. Just let that load for a second. What I'll be discussing first is the filters that we discussed. So we have two types of filters. You can either filter by company or by contacts. Let me just load that again. I had that open for a long time. All right, here we go. So after we discuss the filters, I will do a live example of how I would use that for sales and marketing. But here we go. So if you open up Prospector, on the left-hand side, you will see the filtering. I'll zoom in a bit. And what's usually open is the most used tab. And these are the most used filters that most users will use. So I will do a live filtering as well at the same time as I explain what the filters mean. But you can select the company by different name, the company where it's located, which industry the company is operating at. So for now, let's select animation, for instance. And you can also select job titles in this one. Now, these will also come back, of course, if you select company filters. General information, you have the domain and the company name and the account again. The second thing is the location. So you can go very specific by city or more broad by region or state in the world. We have a lot of companies, a lot of countries represented here. So I saw on the chat already, like, yes, you can filter by UK and United States and all other countries, basically. So let's do that. We'll filter by United Kingdom. Let's filter by United States of America. So I'm kind of building an English speaking list here. Then for the industries, we already filtered that by most used. And then there is the company status as well for company filters. So if you select this box, what that will do is go to our promote product that Natasha already quickly covered. So we have a promote product to promote your services via ads online, via IP. And this will show you all the companies that you can promote to, given your other criteria as well. Now, also, we will touch upon lists in just a second, but you are able, as I mentioned before, you're able to upload a list of details, company and then company domain, and you will see it back here, and then filter on whatever information Prospector has on that particular list. All right. So for context, contact job title, of course, is a good one to generally use and see if we can hone in on some good prospects. So I'm just going for the top layer, as we're going for SMB companies up to 50 employees here. So let's do CEO and we'll do co-founder. If you're targeting a bit larger companies, you can also go just for the seniority level or the department instead. But as we're going for the SMEs, I like to keep it job title specific. Again, here you will have a location, but this location is different from the company filters because it's the country from the contact itself, so not the company. You'll also be able to filter on personal details. So if you want to get emails from everybody that's called John, you're able to do it here. Or if you want to see if they have any specific skills that you're after, you can do it here. So if you want to do architects that have a very specific skill or knowledge about a tool, that's where you will put it in here. We'll quickly touch upon the email addresses, but as soon as you verify an email address, there's a verification process. If you leave this empty, we'll give you all the email addresses that we think you'll have, and we'll verify it after. But if you want to be more sure, you can actually type verified here, and that email address, we're sure that we have it. The same goes for phone. If you type in any, we'll give you any contact that we think we have a phone before revealing. All right. And if you're uploading a list again of contacts, then this is where you select the filter. But for now, let's filter it down. I'm quite happy with the filters I've used here. So basically, I want to have owners in the animation industry from the UK and the US for an English campaign. So I'll hit search in the left bottom. I will see that our match has 560 companies. You'll see companies coming from US and UK as we filtered for. You're able to go to the LinkedIn profile and the website directly here via a shortcut. You can also click the company for more information. This is kind of like the information you're used to in web visitors. And the same goes actually for the CRM integration here. So let's say this is not an organization yet, then I would add this as an organization to the CRM, and I can work from there. Later on, we can also sync the context for this company. Another thing you might want to do is use this data elsewhere. So you can export specific companies, like by clicking and selecting them this way, or bulk selecting everything, the 20 on this page, or the whole set. So let's go for the whole set. You can add them to a list here. So you can create a list. So we can create animation English speaking SME here, and we'll see that list back in a short while. So let's add that one. The other thing you can do is export this. So it's very similar to the export feature of web visitors as well. So if you want to run a LinkedIn campaign on this one, or you just want to get a CSV from this sent to your email address, and you can use this data, upload it to any tool where you like to use it, basically. So that was the company tab. Let's over to the context tab. Just to let that load. And what you see here is you can head over to the LinkedIn page of this specific person. You can see the name and the title that we already filtered for. You will see here different locations popping up rather than UK and US. That's because this person might work for a US or UK company, but they themselves are located in Brazil in this case. Now, if I wanted to get information from this person, like, of course, I can reach out via LinkedIn here, but I see here that there's also an email address attached, and to Louis, the second, and to George, Jeff, the third one, you see there's also a telephone number attached to that contact. So all you do is hit reveal details, and that will start verifying the email addresses. And once its verification is done, it will show up here, and you can copy paste that to wherever you like. Now, also for this one, there is the bulk action. So if we select all, let's select all of them. You can add them to a list as well as we did with the companies, but let's export these. So what I will do in this one is I will export all of the email addresses and phone numbers where possible and send them in a list to via CSV to my email address. And I can upload that, for instance, to a sales cadencing tool or to my CRM, wherever you like it, basically. So we see that this one is already given the details, and the other ones that we didn't review are still here. I'll show you maybe a feed that we have more details revealed. Marketing and advertising. There we go. And it will look something like this. All right, so here you can see we have much more revealed already before in this list. You can see a lot of phone numbers and email addresses here. So if I export these 20, previously you saw it would take credits, but for this one, because it's already revealed, you will be able to export these normally. All right, so that's it for Prospector in terms of this platform as it stands. But of course, Leadfeeder is building much more than Prospector. So this data will be available cross-product. So the first thing I would like to show you is the new lists functionality that we talked about already. So if you head over to lists in your account and you have a list of companies, you gotta format it into company name and then company domain. Where you would go is left top, create list. You would name the list, import a CSV, and it will tell you how to prepare that CSV as well. Now you already see here the animation English speaking SME list that we just built. And that list is now available in Prospector in lists, but also in web visitors, for instance. So this is the most central place where you upload lists and you can use them across different products as well. So let's head over just a brief moment to web visitors, and I will show you where both the list and the Prospector data can be viewed. So of course, if you have some web visitor feeds set up with very good leads and you have your buyer persona in mind, it's very useful if you can go directly from this page to their LinkedIn or reveal their email address and copy that automatically, and then head over to your Gmail, for instance. So let's pick any random lead here. So I'll pick this one. You'll see your web visitors, and then under the contact section, that's where the Prospector data really comes forward. So you'll see we'll preview 5 of these, and the layout is similar to what we saw in the platform itself. But if you want to filter this down, here are some basic filters that you can use for the contact level. So again, if you want to select by CEO or founder, this is where you would do it, or by country as well. All right. So that's it for Prospector demo. Let's head over to the slides again. All right, so one thing Sanjana already mentioned, we'll show you the prices as well. So we do have 50 credits review credits awarded to all Leadfeeder web visitors users already. If you want to review a contact, that will be one credit is one contact basically. And if you want to export companies like we just showed you in bulk, it will take 1 credit for each 10 companies that you export to CSV. And then on the right hand side, you will see the pricing sheet. So if you take a monthly package, you will have 200 credits every month. And if you take a yearly package for, let's say, 1,000 credits, every year you have 1,000 credits and it will refresh at the end of the year instead of monthly. All right, should we open it up for questions?
Yeah, we have about more than 45 questions in the Q&A box. So let's try our best to answer like every one of them. But if we can't answer every one of them, just make sure to ask your questions in the support chat on our website and we'll make sure to reply there. So let's start with the first question. How similar is Prospector to LinkedIn Sales Navigator?
Should I
Tom?
answer?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. All right, sorry.
Go on.
My turn. All right. I would say LinkedIn Sales Navigator is really built around just a LinkedIn environment. And where this adds is that you can add email addresses and phone numbers to it as well. And it is quite handy to use the CRM integration on top of it.
Sure. And next question is, I've had issues with adding contacts directly from Leadfeeder to our CRM system. Not an issue creating companies, but for some reason it's not working with contacts.
All right, that sounds like something we should feed back to the tech team.
Yeah, we will do that.
Depends a bit on which CRM this is, but it sounds like we do have the integration there if it's syncing.
Sure. And how accurate are those data? Basically about accuracy.
Should I just continue or do you?
Yes,
Yeah.
Go on, Tom.
I mean, there's not a real percentage to any accuracy of the data in any of the tools for Prospector or Prospector competitors, basically. Like any tool has a very nice job to keep it as accurate as possible. Where the challenge comes in is that a big percentage of people change roles if you look at it at a 3 months time frame, I think about 25% of email addresses has a possibility to change there. So it could be that some things are a little bit outdated sometimes, but most of the time with our verification, that should not happen. Like the moment you hit review, it does verify if it can send to that email address. So if it's live, it should. If it's not live, it should not give you the email address.
Great. Next one. Basically about GDPR compliance.
Maybe I can take that one.
Sure.
Tom can catch a breath. All of the products that are coming out of Leadfeeder are GDPR compliant. We take this really seriously. If there is anybody more interested into that, you can really contact support@leadfeeder.com to get to know the details. But there is also information in our help center about exactly how we address GDPR. For Prospector, I also noticed that in these terms is like where we get our data, which is very relevant for GDPR. And we can say that we are using multiple different public sources, which is actually one of the key factors to make your data GDPR compliant.
Cool. Next one, how many countries is Prospector in? We are interested in UK, Germany, Norway, and Sweden.
Specifically, this ones, we cover them all. I cannot really say the exact number of countries, but let's say we have strongest data in Europe, in North America. Certain parts of Asia are also nicely covered. We also have contacts in Australia. Tom, did I miss any? I think not.
That's correct, but there's also more specific countries available. But you can pre-filter using Prospector to see that if your country is available.
Great. Next one is, how many companies in a list can you upload at a time? What criteria is required for best match?
I think the limit is 50,000 you can currently use in lists, if I'm not mistaken. And to match it up, like there's no real, if you do 1,000 versus 50,000, there shouldn't be any difference in the match rate. Where the match rate really comes in is if you upload the company name and the domain correctly. So I think that if you have a 0% match rate, it's probably because you uploaded with maybe a comma in there or some other character that shouldn't be there.
Great. Next question, how do you keep your records up to date? I think that's also answered. GDPR. Does it show on the list if a company visited our website already?
You can actually see from inside web visitors if the companies, so if you have web visitors and you have Prospector, you can actually check from this list whether the companies have visited your website in a custom feed.
Can we use Prospector without a Leadfeeder subscription?
With a Leadfeeder Lite, yes. To a certain extent, with limited number of credits, yes. But you cannot see actually if these companies in this case have visited your website.
Great. And a lot of questions about GDPR and data source. So I'm just skipping some of them there. Okay. Does Prospector help turn anonymous website visitors into known website visitors?
This actually comes from the form tracking feature rather than Prospector. In Prospector, you can actually see only the contacts that we have in the database that are from a certain company, but we don't identify them directly from Prospector. This comes from another feature of the product.
And next question is, will the export reveal phone and email when exported in CSV?
If you have already revealed the contact details of a person, then during the exports, yes, you are actually going to get the contact details as well. But you need to reveal them first.
Cool. Next question, do you have integration with LinkedIn?
No, we don't.
Not yet.
No, yeah, not yet.
Okay, next one is, are we able to upload our contact or company list we have in our CRM to exclude these ones?
Depends a bit on what you want to exclude and where you want to exclude them. But for instance, if you're looking at web visitors and you pull a list of all the companies that you want to exclude from a feed, yes, you can do that. And then anything that is not in your CRM already, you can source them and get the Prospector context there.
Great. Next one is, how are you able to identify the individual visitor to a website? That's certainly a feature that makes Leadfeeder considerably more valuable.
This brings back to the form tracking. Yes.
Yeah, we did. Okay. Is the data refreshed on a regular basis, or is there a rolling timeline like weekly, monthly?
It is constantly, and also like in real time. So if you hit the review detail, it will check in real time if that email address is valid. And then in bulk, it's periodically, yes, it's being checked.
Great. And I see one more question that's been asked like many times. How are you different to Zoom Info?
Maybe I can take that one. So when it comes to Zoom Info, they have a bit of a different target market in focus. They're more enterprise. Prospector is more affordable for even smaller companies, and we have no commitment for spending in a certain time of period. So the way we actually price and our market is, let's say, for the time being, different.
Thanks, Natasha. And next one is, if you export a contact, but the contact details are invalid, it costs us a credit. Is that something we have to take a hit on?
You can always contact your CS, or you can contact support in order to go through the situation and see what we can do in such a case.
Great. Next one, do credits roll over into the next year if they are not at all used in the current year?
So credits do not roll over. They go to 0 at the end of your billing period. It doesn't have to be next year. If you have like a monthly billing, then they go from the amount that you have bought to 0 at the end of the month, and then they recharge at the beginning of the month or beginning of the year, depending on how you're paying your bills.
Okay, and last question, does it show work emails or Gmails?
Work emails mostly, and it's like the direct email, not info at or something like that.
Great, and we have a few more questions coming in. So where is it? How accurate is the campaigns add-on if we use the Leadfeeder promote feature? There is upload 5K companies, you identify 3K, we advertise through promote. Do you want to take this, Natasha?
So it's a little bit maybe early to talk about promote here. This is mostly a webinar for Prospector, but you can join the webinar for promote when we are going to have it in the upcoming months. Sanjana is going to announce it. And then we will go through all the details about that product.
Great. I think that's it. I see in the Q&A box. I also see some in the chat, but there's too many in the chat. Okay, there's one last question. What percentage of contacts actually have a working direct line or mobile contact number? Tom?
It's hard to say because the data per country is different. So it will depend on which market you're going to source in. And the countries Natasha mentioned will have a higher percentage of direct phones and company phones attached to them. I guess the more specific you go in country, the smaller the country, the less phone numbers we will have. So if you think about US, UK, Western Europe, that's where we'll have the most phone numbers.
Cool. And is there a way to get more credits?
Maybe we can go back one slide to the pricing so we can show them. So once you're actually, you're going to see how many credits you have inside your tool in the upper right corner. And once you actually feel you need to get more, you just hover there and then a button will appear where you can actually get more credits to our self-service billing system.
Great. There's one question on credits. So 1 credit is equal to 1 contact detail. So does a phone number and email address for 1 person equals 2 credits?
No, they equal 1 credit.
Great.
It's all the available contact details that we have per contact. We can even have an alternative email. It will cost you only 1 credit.
Great. And there's one last question. Does Leadfeeder and ZoomInfo overlap on data, or do they cover different companies or contacts?
We do to some extent overlap to data. Some of the details of the data may be different, like the depth of the data. We may be using different sources for the data. But in terms of locations or the general details, to some extent, most of the tools do overlap.
Great. So I think we answered most of the questions. So yeah, I think that's the end of it. Thank you all again for joining the webinar today. If you have more questions, then please do send your questions in the support chat, and we will have a look and respond to you. So yeah, that's it. You'll receive the recording in a few days, so you can play back and watch. If you have more questions, there's also, like, I sent you a help article link as well, so you can check that out to see if some of your questions are answered there. So that's it. Keep your eyes on the inbox until then, and see you again in the next webinar. Thank you, everyone, and bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.